Hello, welcome to lesson 111. This is multiplying decimal numbers by 10, 100, and by 1000. Now this is actually a lot more simple than we have been learning with just multiplying decimals. That's been a process that we're going to continue to practice. For those of us that still have a slight difficulty where the decimal point goes. Hopefully this one will be a little bit more quickly to figure out because there's no multiplication really involved. When I do 34, this is 34 as a decimal number, but it's still 34 as a whole number times 10. What I'm simply doing is I'm just simply adding a 0 to the end and really moving the decimal point over one space to the right. So 340 would be 34 times 10. So my decimal point started here with 34. Moved over one space to the right, one space to the right. So I get 340. Very similar process, exact same process. If I have 34 hundredths, now a decimal number, 34 hundredths times 10, I multiply and it gets moved over one place to the right. It's multiplying by 10. Because when I multiply by 10, I'm adding really one extra 0 to the whole number. It actually shifts the decimal number over, or the digits get shifted over to the left. You can think of it either way. The digits all get moved over to the left, or a decimal point gets moved over to the right. But I think this one might be a little bit easier for us to understand. It's just moving the decimal place over one time because it's just 10. Now, if we break down 100 to be 10 times 10, we look at it as I'm just multiplying by a number times 10 two different times, which means I'm moving over the decimal point two places. I have two zeros. I'm going to move it over two times. So this is my only example problem in the lesson, so I hope this makes sense. We will be practicing these a lot more. These are the only ones in our books right now. If I have 1 and 234 thousandths times 100, I'm going to need to move it over two times because 100, same thing as 10 times 10. So I'm going to move it over two times. And I move it over to the right. I have 123 and 4 tenths because it gets moved over two places, just as shown here. 1, 2, and that's my final product, 123 and 4 tenths. So it's exactly how it's done. I hope this makes sense. So if I have it multiplied by 1,000, that's the same thing as 3 tens, or really just count your zeros, like here. 1,000 is 3 zeros, so I'm going to move it over three places. If I have 100, moving it over two times. If I have 10, moving it over one time. So for letter A, 1 and 234 thousandths times 10, so just move it decimal point over one place to the right. B, 1 and 234 thousandths times 1,000. C, 1,234 10,000ths times 100. Letter D, 345 thousandths times 10. I'll be checking your notes for participation. This would be, the example problem would be great to copy down and to have in your notes. Make sure you do the practice set problems, and I'll be grading those for participation. Thank you very much for listening.